welcome. Tonight, we step into the Strategist's private study. This isn't about lofty ideals. It's about the cold, hard mechanics of power, drawn from someone who learned it through ruin. This deep dive is for you, the successor, who needs to understand action, not just virtue.
That's right. We're looking at insights born from, well, absolute disaster. Machiavelli. Here's a man who had it all influence, position in Florence for nearly 15 years, and then lost everything. Suddenly.
Everything.
Dismissed, thrown in prison, tortured even. A complete reversal. And from that rock bottom, he had to look at power differently. No illusions left, just analyzing how it really works.
That context changes everything, doesn't it?
Yeah.
This isn't some philosophical wish list.
Not at all. The Prince is about survival, winning.
Correct.
It's starkly binary, success, victory, prestige, or the alternative.
Loss, failure, defeat, death.
Exactly. The whole worldview is almost fatalistic. You're caught in this suffocating net of cause and effect, as he puts it.
And the language reflects that, right? You mentioned the key words.
Oh, absolutely. If you're going to master this, you have to hear the drumbeat of necessity. It's constant. Necessity, must, have to, inevitably, bound to.
These aren't suggestions.
No, they're presented as laws, like political gravity. Forget wishful thinking, forget moral fantasies. This is the physics of power.
He really calls out the idealists, doesn't he?
He does. He says his goal is to go to the real truth of the matter, not repeat other people's fantasies. He just dismisses all those imagined perfect republics that never existed.
So for a ruler, for you listening, the lesson is...
You have to learn to stop being good. At least he qualifies when the occasion demands. It's about effectiveness, not inherent goodness.
Okay, so our mission today, extract the principles. We're looking at his examples not as moral tales, but as
case studies.
Yeah.
Purely strategic dissections. What worked, what failed spectacularly, why? That's what we're here for, the rules of the game.
Right, let's get into Act I then, the conquest. You've taken power, now how do you secure it? He starts with the basics, hereditary states versus new ones.
Yeah, the hereditary ones, they're the easiest, relatively speaking. People are used to the ruling family. The system is established.
So the ruler just needs to...
Pretty much just not mess things up. Avoid upsetting the order established by his predecessors, is how he puts it. Keep things ticking over.
He gives an example.
The Duchy of Ferrara, the Este family, they survived attacks from Venice, from Pope Julius II. Not because they were military geniuses, necessarily.
But because they were established. Ancient lineage.
Exactly. It takes extraordinary and overwhelming force to dislodge that kind of legitimacy. And even then, if they lose it, they often get it back because the people kind of default to the old ways.
Okay, simple enough.
Yeah.
But then you annex territory. A mixed monarchy. That's where it gets tough.
Exponentially tougher. And he insists the instability isn't like a mistake you made. It's baked in. It's inevitable. You're bound to upset the people.
How so? What are the immediate problems?
Two big ones right off the bat. First, just the practicalities of conquest and occupation. Soldiers billeted in homes, supplies requisitioned, daily life disrupted. That creates resentment.
And the second.
The endless stream of injustices. Every invasion injures some people. Their property, their status, their families. You instantly create enemies.
And here's the real bind he points out, the trap.
Yeah.
You've made enemies of the people you harmed.
But you also can't satisfy the ones who actually helped you take over.
Why not? They should be your allies.
Because they always expect more than you can give. They backed you because they wanted something, treatment, rewards, power for themselves. But, as Machiavelli says, you can't give them as much as they expected.
That you can't clamp down on them either.
Not easily. You still need them, especially early on, to help manage the place, keep order. It's this impossible tightrope.
Which leads to?
The Louis XII example in Milan. Took it, lost it, took it again, lost it again, fast. Why? His initial local supporters got disillusioned fast when the big rewards didn't appear, so they turned on him the first chance they got.
So this forces the first big rule for expansion, doesn't it? You can't just react.
No, you absolutely cannot. Foresight, that's the key. You have to see trouble coming way down the road and act before it arrives.
That's the medical analogy he uses, right?
Famous one, yeah. Political problems are like tuberculosis. Early on, easy to cure and hard to diagnose. Let it fester, it becomes easy to diagnose and hard to cure.
If you wait until it's obvious.
It's probably too late for an easy fix. You're already in deep trouble.
You must understand this. Delaying war to avoid it. That never works.
Never. He's emphatic. It couldn't be avoided. The odds would simply shift in favor of your enemies. Postponing is just giving the advantage away.
Who got this right, according to him?
The Romans. Masters of foresight. Look at how they handled Philip of Macedon and Antiochus. They fought them over there in Greece.
Not waiting for them to invade Italy.
Exactly. They chose the time, chose the battlefield, took the pain abroad to guarantee peace at home long term. They didn't let the disease reach their doorstep where it would be easy to diagnose but maybe fatal.
Okay, so if the Romans are the model of foresight, Louis XII in Italy, again, is
the masterclass in failure. Machiavelli gives us basically a 6-point checklist of disaster, what not to do when you expand.
Let's break it down. Mistake number 1.
Eliminating the weaker states. He helped Pope Alexander VI to take over Romagna, crushing the smaller powers there.
Why was that bad? Seems logical to remove potential rivals.
Because those weaker states were natural checks and balances. They kept the bigger players, like the Pope, contained. Removing them unbalanced the whole region.
Okay. Mistake 2.
He made a strong power even stronger, the church. I mean, the Pope already had huge spiritual influence. Louis then helped him gain temporal powerland, armies.
Creating a powerful neighbor you can't easily control.
A permanent one. You don't give territory to the spiritual head of Christendom if you want strategic flexibility later. Huge error.
Third mistake.
Bringing in another major foreign power, Spain. By agreeing to split Naples with Ferdinand of Spain, he invited a massive predatory kingdom right into Italy.
Destabilizing everything.
Completely, and creating a long-term rival for France right there in the peninsula. He didn't move there himself. Machiavelli insists, if you conquer a new place, especially one with different customs, you need to live there.
Why is that so critical?
You see problems instantly. You can react fast. You stop your officials from bleeding the place dry. Your presence is a deterrent and a reassurance.
Fifth mistake, no colonies.
Right. Colonies, he argues, are cheap and effective security. You only displace a few locals who become scattered and poor, unable to cause trouble. Garrisoning an army, though.
That hurts everyone. Quartering troops, taxes.
Exactly. It alienates the entire state. Colonies are targeted, garrisons are a blanket burden.
And the sixth, and maybe biggest, error.
Gutting Venice. This one was strategically catastrophic. Venice was independent, powerful enough to be a buffer. It protected French interests in the north, kept the Pope and Spain somewhat in check.
And Louis helped destroy that buffer.
Paved the way for his own ruin. He removed the one power that could have helped him later.
Which leads to that chilling prophecy.
Yeah. Helping another ruler get powerful is basically to prepare your own ruin.
Because the skills you use to help them flair or military strength
will seem threatening to the person who has benefited from them. Louis armed Rome and Spain, the very powers that undid French ambitions in Italy. He built up his own rivals.
Now, the final challenge in conquest, states used to governing themselves, free states.
The hardest of all. They have more life in them, more hatred, a greater thirst for revenge. Why?
That memory of freedom.
It lingers on and won't let them rest. Even after decades, like Pisa under Florence, the moment they see a chance, they'll rally to that old banner of liberty. That memory is potent. It's dangerous.
So Machiavelli says there are only two sure ways to hold them.
Only two that truly work long-term. 1, reduce them to rubble. Total destruction, like Rome did to Carthage and Capua. Eliminate the source of the memory.
Brutal. And the other?
Go and live there yourself. Rule directly, personally. Stamp out resistance immediately. Enforce your will day by day.
What about ruling through local elites, keeping their old laws?
Forget it. That's a recipe for constant rebellion, he says. They'll just use the name of freedom and their old laws as rallying cries forever. It's leaving the seeds of revolt in the ground.
Remember this. In the realm of politics, freedom is an infection. If you do not eradicate it utterly or impose your immediate presence, it will inevitably rise to destroy you, regardless of how benevolent your occupation.
Moving into Act 2, then. The tools you need. And it starts with the absolute foundation, the army. And first, the warning about mercenaries.
He doesn't mince words here, does he?
Not at all. Mercenaries, auxiliaries, they are useless and dangerous. Simple as that. Why?
They're ambitious, undisciplined, disloyal.
Quarrelsome amongst themselves, brave in front of friends, cowards facing the enemy. And crucially, their only motivation is money. Meager salary, he calls it.
Not enough to die for you.
Never enough. Look at Italy's ruin in his time. He blames it squarely on relying on mercenaries for so long. What did it bring?
Slow, belated, unconvincing victories, then sudden, bewildering defeats.
Exactly. The ultimate embarrassment was Charles VIII of France marching through Italy. Machiavelli notes, bitterly, they didn't even fight. The French just needed chalk crosses to mark where their soldiers would sleep. The Italian mercenary armies just melted away.
And there's that catch-22 with the mercenary commander.
Right. If he's useless, well, he ruins you through incompetence.
But if he's good, if he actually has skill,
Then you can't trust him because he will always aspire to power himself. He'll use the army you pay for to take your job.
examples.
Francesco Sfosa, hired by Milan to fight the Nis. What did he do? Turned around, took Milan for himself, became duke. Or Carmagnola and the Venetians. Good general, but they suspected his loyalty was waning.
What could they do? Firing him was risky.
They couldn't risk it. So Machiavelli observes coldly, the only safe option was to kill him.
This really underscores the need for absolute self-reliance.
It has to be. Look at Hiero Syracuse. He had mercenaries he couldn't trust, but also couldn't just dismiss. His solution.
Radical, decisive.
He had them all cut to pieces. Then he built his power on his own citizens. You cannot outsource your survival. You just can't.
Which leads directly to the only real solution, the citizen army.
The only secure foundation. No state is safe without its own army made up of its own subjects or citizens. People loyal to the state itself, not just a paycheck.
Relying on anyone else's.
Trusting to luck. Depending on the whims and loyalties of others, a recipe for disaster.
So for the ruler, for you, the only proper focus must be
War, the organization of the army and military discipline. That's it. That's the job, number one. Neglecting war leads to downfall. Expertise in it leads to power.
And this isn't just a wartime thing.
No, constant preparation, even in peace. Physical training, yes, drills. Hunting to learn the land. But also mental.
How so?
Read history. Study the great commanders. Alexander looked to Achilles, Scipio to Cyrus. And be like Philip Homan, constantly analyzing the terrain wherever you go.
Thinking tactically all the time.
Always. How could I defend this pass? Where would I deploy troops here? What about these rivers, these marshes? War has to be the constant preoccupation of your mind.
Okay, now we have to address the darker path. Gaining power through crime.
Yes, it happens. Power can be won by terrible crime. But he draws a sharp line. This brings power, but not glory.
And there's a right way and a wrong way even to do this. Cruelty well used versus badly used.
It's a difficult concept. Well-used cruelty, if we can even say that. But the distinction is vital. Badly used cruelty drags on, increases over time, festers.
And well used.
Short-lived and decisive. You do what absolutely must be done to secure your position right at the start, and then you stop. Immediately.
The examples he gives are Agathocles and Oliverato. The lesson.
Get the necessary violence over with. All at once. Swiftly. Brutally, if needed. Why? So as not to have to be cruel on a regular basis.
Because if you don't handle it decisively at the beginning,
You'll find yourself needing the knife again and again, constantly putting out fires with more violence. You lose the fear you needed initially, and you certainly never gain any loyalty.
and after the initial shock.
Then you pivot. You start giving out benefits, favors. But do it slowly, one by one, so that they can be properly savored. Let the memory of the harshness fade, replaced by gradual generosity.
The master of this, the prime example, is Cesare Borgia in Romagna.
Oh, absolutely. Romagna was chaotic, lawless. Borgia sends in his ruthless lieutenant, Ramiro de Orco, to clean it up. And he does. Iron fist, no mercy.
Order is restored.
But everyone now hates and fears de Orco, and that hatred could easily transfer to Borgia himself. So Borgia needs to deflect it.
Oh.
With a calculated, public, horrifying spectacle. One morning, the people of Cesena wake up to find Ramiro de Orco's body in the main square.
Just left there.
Cut in two pieces, beheaded, with a wooden block and a bloody knife beside.
The impact.
It left people both gratified and shocked. Gratified that the feared tyrant was punished. Shocked by Borgia's cold, swift justice.
So he achieved multiple things at once.
Pacified the region, eliminated a potentially problematic subordinate, deflected all the hatred onto the dead man, and demonstrated his own ultimate authority and sense of justice, however brutal. Masterful in a terrifying way.
The knife must be wielded decisively, for if you fail to administer necessary cruelty in the beginning, you will be forever forced to wield it, losing both fear and love.
Okay, Act 3. This gets to the heart of the ruler's everyday dilemma, the paradoxes. Starting with the big one, is it better to be loved or feared?
The ideal is both, of course.
Sure, ideally, but Machiavelli is blunt. They don't go together easily, so if you have to choose...
It's much safer to be feared than loved.
Much safer. And we need to unpack why. It's about his view of human nature.
Which is pretty bleak.
Very. Men are ungrateful and unreliable. They lie, they fake, they're greedy for cash, and they melt away in the face of danger. That's his assessment.
So love, which relies on obligation and gratitude.
It's weak. It's a bond men feel free to break whenever it's inconvenient for them. Love is forgotten easily when self-interest kicks in.
But fear.
Fear is different. Fear is about fear of punishment, and that's something people never forget. It's constant, it's reliable, it doesn't depend on their fickle feelings.
You control the consequences, so you rely on fear.
Exactly. You rely on what you can enforce, not what you hope they feel.
But critically, he says fear doesn't have to mean hatred. There's a line.
A very important line you must never cross. Being feared is fine, even necessary. Being hated is fatal.
And what triggers that universal hatred? The two big sins.
Taking people's property and taking their women. Stay away from those.
He has that incredibly stark line.
Unforgettable, isn't it? A man will sooner forget the death of his father than the loss of his inheritance. Property and honor. Don't touch them. If you avoid those, people might fear you, but they won't actively conspire to bring you down out of pure hatred. They'll likely remain obedient.
This need for fear, even cruelty, extends to the army too. He uses Hannibal.
Yeah, Hannibal, leading this huge, diverse army, Carthaginians, Spaniards, Gauls, Africans, far from home, in hostile territory for years. And yet...
No major mutinies, no significant dissent.
Why? Because of his tremendous cruelty, Machiavelli says. That cruelty, combined with his obvious skill and positive qualities, kept the soldiers in a state of respect and terror. It forged cohesion through fear.
He criticizes historians who praise Hannibal's victories but condemn the methods.
Calls them naive, basically, just not thinking. They don't see that the cruelty was the mechanism that enabled the victories, that kept that disparate army together under immense pressure. Sometimes severity is the only tool that works.
Okay, next paradox. Generosity versus meanness. Seems obvious. Be generous, right?
Seems obvious, but it's a trap. A reputation for generosity, if you actually practice it lavishly, leads straight to ruin.
How? Generosity should win support.
Initially, maybe. But to keep up that reputation, you burn through your own money fast. Then what?
You have to tax the people.
Exactly. You're forced to impose new burdens, become demanding, and that generous ruler suddenly becomes the source of hardship. That's when generosity breeds hatred and contempt.
So counterintuitively, a reputation for meanness, really, frugality is better.
Strategically, yes. It's a negative quality that keeps him in power. Sounds bad, but it's actually a virtue in practice.
Because it means
you can fund your state, defend your country, even launch campaigns without constantly squeezing your own people for more money. You live within your means.
And that allows you to seem resourceful, prudent.
Right. People might call you mean behind your back, but they aren't suffering from heavy taxes. Look at the successful rulers he points to. Pope Julius II, the French king, the Spanish king, all known for being tight-fisted.
But they were effective.
Because they funded things through existing revenue, or better yet, through war and conquest, not by taxing their own subjects into poverty.
So when is it okay to be lavish?
Only when you're spending someone else's money. Plunder from conquered enemies, extortion, war spoils. Showering that money on your soldiers builds loyalty, raises your standing, and doesn't cost your treasury or your subjects anything.
Spending your own money generously is the risk.
It consumes itself, he says. Generosity with your own funds is strategically self-destructive. Which brings us to perhaps the most famous or infamous piece of advice, the lion and the fox, the need for deception.
Two ways to fight. Law, the human way.
And force, the animal way. A ruler, a successful one, needs both. He can't rely solely on laws and agreements.
The ancient writers hinted at this.
With the myth of Achilles being tutored by Chiron the centaur, half man, half beast, symbolizing that a ruler needs both natures, the civilized and the savage.
You need to be the lion.
To scare off the wolves, to project strength, to deter enemies through force or the threat of it.
And the fox.
To see the snares, to recognize traps, understand deception, and practice it yourself when necessary. You need cunning as much as strength.
And this applies directly to keeping promises.
Directly. The rule is self-preservation. A sensible leader cannot and must not keep his word if by doing so he puts himself at risk.
And if the reasons for making the promise are gone.
Exactly. Since other people are often unreliable and deceitful, a sad lot, who won't keep their promises to you, you don't need to be bound by yours to them either if survival dictates otherwise. It's a harsh reality.
So you have to become skilled in deception.
Imperative. You must disguise your slyness, how to pretend one thing and cover up another.
Like Pope Alexander VI.
Borgia's father. Machiavelli says he never did anything but con people, and his deceptions always worked. Why? Because he knew this side of human nature so well. He understood people want to believe, even in a lie, if it's convincing.
This leads to the ultimate performance.
Yeah.
The illusion of virtue.
Yes. You don't actually need to possess all the good qualities, compassion, loyalty, honesty, piety, but
It's absolutely imperative that he seemed to possess them. The appearance is everything.
everything, especially appearing religious. That resonates deeply with the masses. People judge by appearances, by what they see.
And by the results.
Ultimately, yes.
Hmm.
If a leader does what's necessary, however morally questionable, to win and hold on to power, to keep the state secure, his methods will always be reckoned honorable and widely praised.
Because the world is mostly...
Crowd. The masses. They see the success, the stability, the outcome. The few who grumble about the methods, they don't matter as long as the state holds firm and the majority feels secure.
Never be what you ought to be, but always seem what they expect. For when necessity demands your betrayal, the crowd will forgive any sin that leads to success.
Right, Act 4, the final lessons. Maintaining power long term, first up. Avoiding contempt. This is crucial internally.
Contempt is different from fear, then.
Very different and arguably more dangerous. Fear keeps people in line. Contempt breeds plots, makes them bold. It comes from seeming weak or foolish.
What kind of behavior causes contempt?
Appearing changeable, superficial, effeminate, fearful, or indecisive. Wishy-washy. Weak. Unpredictable in a bad way.
So everything the ruler does.
Must project greatness, spirit, seriousness, and strength. Every public action, every judgment has to reinforce the image of command, of gravitas. Your persona is policy.
And the biggest internal threat that contempt enables.
Conspiracy, plots, always simmering under the surface. But Machiavelli offers the most powerful preventative measure.
Which isn't more guards or spies, necessarily.
It's simpler and harder. Simply not being hated by a majority of the people.
How does that stop conspiracies?
Because conspirators need support, or at least apathy, from the population to succeed after the coup. They bank on the idea that people will welcome the change.
But if the people are generally content, or at least not actively hateful?
The conspirators lose heart. They know the risks are immense: getting caught, betrayal within the group, and if the public won't back them afterwards, it's suicide. A ruler's best defense is the passive support or lack of hatred from the masses.
He uses the Roman Emperor Severus as a complex example here.
Very complex. Severus had to juggle two opposing groups, the army, which was greedy and powerful, and put him in charge.
And the people, who wanted peace and stability and hated the army's demands.
A classic dilemma. How did Severus manage it? He played both the lion and the fox perfectly.
No.
He kept the army loyal through strength, ruthlessness when needed, and by ensuring they got paid, often through plunder, he awed them.
And the people.
He impressed them with his reputation, his military successes, his image of decisive, even terrifying strength. He built such prestige that even his necessary cruelties didn't lead to the kind of widespread hatred that destroyed other emperors like Pertinax or Alexander. His reputation shielded him.
Okay, shifting to external reputation, how do you win respect on the world stage?
Two main ways. Great military victories, obviously. Success breeds respect. And displaying impressive personal qualities. Strength, decisiveness, vision.
Ferdinand of Aragon again.
Machiavelli brings him up often. Ferdinand was brilliant at this. He kept his own nobles and people constantly occupied looking outwards. Consecutive, ambitious campaigns. First Granada, then North Africa, then Italy, always planning the next big thing. It kept people in a state of suspense and admiration, focused on these grand external projects.
And not on potential problems at home. Kept them distracted and impressed.
Exactly. Constant forward momentum prevents internal stagnation and dissent.
Now, a crucial point about alliances and neighbors. Neutrality. Good or bad?
Fatal. Neutrality is death, politically speaking. A ruler gains respect by being a genuine friend and a genuine enemy. You have to pick a side, declare yourself.
Sitting on the fence makes you look weak.
Weak and foolish. If two powerful neighbors fight and you try to stay neutral because you fear the winner, well, guess what?
You become the prize.
You'll still be gobbled up by the winner to the amusement and satisfaction of the loser. He quotes that Roman ambassador again, warning the Achaeans. Stay neutral, and you'll get no thanks, no consideration, and will be taken as a reward by whoever wins. Choose the lesser evil, take a side.
And there's a rule about which allies to choose.
A very important one. Never, ever ally yourself with someone more powerful than you unless you absolutely have to for survival.
Why not? Seems good to have a strong friend.
Because when you win, you'll be at your ally's mercy. Once the common enemy is gone, you're the weaker partner, dependent on the stronger one. You've just swapped one potential master for another. Avoid putting yourself in someone else's power if at all possible.
Finally, the great unknown. Fortune. Luck. How much control do you really have?
Machiavelli is realistic here. He concedes luck, fortune, might control about half of what happens, but only half.
The other half is.
Up to us, our free will, our preparedness, our skill. Or two, he calls it.
He uses that powerful metaphor.
Fortune as a raging river. Unpredictable, destructive when it floods. But what can wise men do?
When the weather is calm, build defenses.
Exactly. Build banks and dikes. Prepare. So when the floodwaters inevitably rise, they can be contained, channeled, managed. Italy, he says sadly, failed to build these defenses, so the flood of foreign armies just washed over it.
So the key isn't controlling fortune, but managing your response to it. Adaptation.
That's the core. The successful ruler is the one whose approach, cautious or bold, methodical or impulsive, matches the demands of the specific times.
But the problem is,
People rarely change. If you succeed by being cautious, you'll tend to stay cautious, even when boldness is needed. If you win through audacity, you'll likely remain audacious, even when times demand prudence.
Pope Julius II is the example of that.
Perfect example. Always impulsive, always aggressive. And the times suited that approach perfectly, so he had nothing but success. Machiavelli notes, almost wryly, Julius died before the times could change to demand a caution he simply didn't possess. He was spared him the experience of failure because he never would have adapted.
Fortune is female, and if you want to stay on top of her, you have to slap and thrust. She respects audacity, but punishes stagnation.
And so we reach the end, the final commands. We've covered the core principles.
Self-reliance, your own army. Decisiveness, cruelty used well, and only when necessary. Stability, avoiding hatred by protecting property and women. And strategic flexibility, being both the lion and the fox.
Machiavelli ends his book with this raw, passionate plea for Italy. He sees it as utterly broken, more slave than the Jews, more crushed than the Persians, leaderless, lawless, beaten, plundered.
But he sees an opportunity in that devastation.
A desperate hope. The moment, he tells the Medici ruler Lorenzo, is ripe for a new leader to rise, redeem Italy, gain immense glory by establishing new laws, new institutions, and above all,
An army of your own citizens. It always comes back to that.
always. He even justifies the fight, quoting Livy. War is just when there's no alternative, and arms are sacred when they are your only hope. The foundation must be yourself, your own strength, your own forces.
You, the listener, have been given the Strategist's Handbook, the unvarnished truth forged in failure.
As Francis Bacon later said, recognizing the debt, we are much beholden to Machiavel and others that write what men do and not what they ought to do. Remember, the world is crowd. They judge the results.
The ultimate test isn't just surviving a crisis.
No. It's building a state, a structure, where the necessary actions, however harsh they seem, are demanded by the very nature of maintaining your command, ensuring stability. You have the forbidden truths. Now, go and ensure your success.